Most of us hear the phrase the narrow path and we think we know what it means. Just be a good person. But what if that's only a tiny part of the story? And what if the most critical piece of the message is one that most of us have completely missed? The Bible reveals a challenging truth about what this path actually demands. And the easy road, well, it might not be leading where you think. We've all heard someone say, "Stay on the straight and narrow." It's become this cultural shorthand for behaving yourself, for coloring inside the moral lines. And because of this, we've projected that same meaning onto Jesus' words. We picture two paths, one for the bad people, the criminals and liars, and one for the good people. You know us, the ones who try our best and mean well. But this comfortable, self-assuring interpretation is perhaps the most dangerous one of all, because the path Jesus described is infinitely more demanding and radically different than just being a good person. To really get it, we have to go back to the moment he spoke these words, on a dusty hillside in Galilee, during the most famous sermon ever given, the Sermon on the Mount. In Matthew chapter 7, Jesus says this, "Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." Two gates, two roads, two very different crowds, and two totally different destinations. Today, we're going to examine what those words really meant, and confront the challenging truth of what it really takes to choose the narrow path. So what do you think? What's the easy way and the hard way? To put it another way, what's the popular way and the unpopular way? Jesus says the gate is wide and the road is broad. This is the easy way. It's the path of least resistance. It's the default setting of humanity. There are no tough entry requirements. It's paved with good intentions and the popular opinions of the day. The Greek word for broad is eurykos, which means spacious. There's plenty of room on this road for your ego, for your personal ambitions, for your cultural idols, your favorite sins, and most importantly, room for your own self-righteousness. This road doesn't ask you to change. It just asks you to go with the flow. It's the path of worldly comfort, materialism, and moral compromise. It appeals to our deepest desires to fit in, to be comfortable, and to feel like we're in control. And this is exactly why the good person myth feels so at home here. The Pharisees in Jesus' day were seen as the most moral people around. They were meticulously religious. By every external measure, they were good. Yet Jesus called them whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside but dead on the inside. Why? Because their goodness was a performance. They were walking the broad road of self-dependence, trusting their own actions to make them right with God. The broad road is not just for the openly rebellious, but for anyone who's building their life on the foundation of their own efforts, good or bad. It's the belief that if my good deeds outweigh my bad deeds, I'll be okay. It's the quiet assumption that God grades on a curve and I'm somewhere above average. The terrifying thing about this road isn't the journey. Jesus says it leads to destruction, utter ruin and waste. The Greek word for this is apoleia. And it doesn't just mean a bad end. It means a terrible end. It's the tragedy of living your entire life your own way, only to find it all amounted to nothing. And Jesus gives a chilling statistic. He says many are on this path. It is the crowded highway to ruin. Now let's look at the other option. Jesus' command isn't just to find the right road. It's to first enter through the narrow gate. The gate comes before the path. This is the most critical and most overlooked part of the message. So what is this gate? Often we turn the gate into a set of behaviors. Stop doing bad things, start going to church, be a better person, and then you can get on the path. But that's just the wide road in disguise. It's still all about what we do. The Bible is shockingly clear that the narrow gate is not a moral checklist. The narrow gate is a person. In John 10, Jesus says, "I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved." A few chapters later in John 14:6, he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. The gate is Jesus Christ. He is the one and only entrance. This is why the gate is narrow. The Greek is stenos, meaning tight, confined, constricted. It's like a turnstile that only lets one person through at a time, in one specific way. You can't bring your entourage. You can't bring the baggage of your own self-righteousness. You have to leave your pride, your accomplishments, and your list of good deeds behind. This is the one and only way to enter heaven. This is the gate. It's narrow. So let me ask you, are you willing to abandon your faith in yourself, in your own goodness, and place your faith entirely in Jesus Christ alone? Are you willing to admit that you're on the broad road to destruction and that you can't save yourself? Are you willing to surrender totally to Him? Because that's what it means to go through this gate. It's not about squeezing through by being good. It's about acknowledging that you're not good enough and clinging to the only one who is our righteousness. Many people will see this gate, but they'll refuse the terms of entry. They'll try to get in by their own merits, but they will be unable to. They are unwilling to humble themselves and come with empty hands, trusting only in the grace offered through Christ. The gate is narrow because the truth is exclusive. It's found in one person, Jesus Christ. If the gate is Jesus, then the road is the life that follows. And if you thought getting through the gate was the hard part, Jesus has more news. He says the road is narrow and difficult. The Greek word used here for difficult is thlebo, which means to be pressed, compressed, or afflicted. It's the root of the word tribulation. This isn't a picture of a pleasant Sunday stroll. This is a difficult trek, a path of pressure and persecution. This is the journey of discipleship where God uses the pressures of life to shape us into the image of His Son. Walking this road means actively giving up your will, your desires, your bad habits to follow God's will. Think of it like a hiking trail. The broad road is the wide, paved path from the parking lot crowded with tourists, but the narrow path is that small, overgrown fork you almost missed. It's steep. The rocks are sharp. The branches snag your clothes. It takes focus and effort just to stay on it. It requires you to make conscious choices that go against culture and your own natural instincts, choosing forgiveness over bitterness, humility over pride, and truth over popularity. This is a life of obedience to what Jesus taught: to love your enemies, turn the other cheek, and seek first the kingdom of God. It's a path that pretty much guarantees trouble in this world. But here is the crucial difference: you don't walk it alone. The wide road is a lonely journey of self-reliance. The narrow road is a journey of moment-by-moment dependence on Christ. It is a hard road, but He walks it with us. Every road leads somewhere, and the destinations of these two paths could not be more different. We already know the broad road ends in apolia, destruction, a wasted existence. But the narrow road, the hard path, leads to life. And just like we misunderstand narrow, we often misunderstand life. Jesus isn't just talking about a ticket to heaven when you die. The Greek word here is zoe. The New Testament has a few words for life. There's bios, our biological life, and sush, our psychological life, our mind and emotions. But Zoe is something else entirely. Zoe is the very life of God. It is uncreated, eternal, divine life. When Jesus said, "I have come that they may have life, and have it to the full," He was talking about Zoe. This is the abundant life. It isn't a promise of an easy life, but a promise of a full one, a meaningful one, connected to God Himself. And this life doesn't start when you die. It starts the moment you enter the narrow gate. While the wide road feels like freedom, but is actually bondage to sin, the narrow road feels restrictive, but it leads to the only true freedom there is. The choice is between a spacious road that leads to the dead end of ruin, or a constricted road that opens up into the very life of God Himself, a life more real and vibrant than anything this world has to offer. This brings us to the unavoidable personal question that Jesus' words force every single one of us to answer. It requires a moment of brutal honesty. Does your life feel like a path that requires real intention and daily surrender? Or does it feel more like just going with the flow? The world is full of good people strolling comfortably down the broad road. The question is, which gate have you entered? Have you ever come to a point where you consciously abandoned all trust in your own goodness and threw yourself completely on the mercy of Jesus Christ? That is the gate. There is no other. And which road are you walking today? Does your daily life show a struggle against your own selfish nature and a conscious effort to obey God? Or does it just reflect the values of the world around you? This isn't about perfection. Walking the narrow path means you will stumble. What matters is the direction you're headed. When you fall, do you fall towards the cross, depending on His grace? Or do you try to pick yourself up and pretend it never happened? The choice between these two paths is the most important decision you will ever make. It's not a choice between being religious or non-religious. It's a choice between two religions. The religion of self-righteousness on the wide road and the religion of Christ's righteousness on the narrow road. The message of the narrow path isn't meant to be one of condemnation. It's an urgent, loving invitation. Think of it as a warning sign placed by a loving God in front of a highway that leads off a cliff. For too long, many of us have believed the comfortable idea that being a good person is enough. Jesus shatters that illusion. He makes it clear that the wide, easy path, the path so many are on, leads to ruin. He presents us with a different way, a narrow gate, which is faith in Him alone, a radical act of surrender, and a hard road, which is the daily journey of discipleship that transforms us from the inside out. It's a path that few find, not because it's hidden, but because the cost of entry is too high for those who value their own independence more than the truth. In the end, it becomes startlingly simple. There is a way that seems right, but its end is the way to death. That's the broad road. And then there is the way, the truth, and the life. That's Jesus. He is the gate, He is the guide on the path, and He is the life waiting at the destination. The most important question you'll ever answer isn't, am I a good person? But which gate have I entered? And which path am I walking today? If this breakdown is challenging the way you've thought about your faith, if it's making you reconsider which path you're on, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. It tells us we're on the right track and helps this message reach more people who might be standing at that very same crossroads. Want to support the channel? Join us on Patreon. The link is in the description. Your support helps spread God's word and keep these teachings going. Thank you for standing with us. Until next time, stay rooted in the Word, stay alert,